Alright, week 4 advanced concept presentation, Robert McCauley. Here's my presentation for you. Halfway done. Here we go. Here's the topic. What you talking about, Willis? Here's what we're talking about. We're going to walk through every step that is involved making pyruvate go to acetyl-CoA so that it can go into the citric acid cycle. We're asked to focus on any cofactors needed and how the process is reset at the end to allow for another pyruvate molecule to bind. So here we go. Where are we in this process? Where are we headed? Glycolysis begins to break down glucose, and one of the products we have is pyruvate. So on the left there you can see a pyruvate molecule. In the red you can see a carboxyl group. It's highlighted red because that's part that's going to break off here once we get started talking about that. Where are we going after this? We're going to discuss the process of taking this product, pyruvate, from glycolysis and how it gets to the citric acid cycle. So we're at the end of glycolysis and right before the citric acid cycle. That's where we're at. Just trying to think ahead for our project and how everything's going to go. So here's just a little image of where all this is taking place. So glycolysis, that occurs in the cytoplasm. So these little green areas here, and then the rest of the phases are going to occur inside the mitochondria. The inner portion of the mitochondria is called the matrix, which is referred to as. The process that we're talking about, it's going to be basically the transition phase from the cytoplasm to the mitochondria. So we're out here and we're trying to get in. So here's a pretty good visual that I found here. Again, we have the pyruvate molecule on the left with the carboxyl group, the CO2 highlighted, and as you can see, as this progress goes through process, that CO2 is going to pop off, and then it's going to leave us with some high electron energies that are just like ready to be soaked up. So we have the NAD plus molecule that's going to come in. It's going to bind to those electrons and form NADH, and then bounce back off as a byproduct. And so our two byproducts are going to be NADH and carbon dioxide, and at that point that's where the coenzyme A is able to bind to make acetyl-CoA, coenzyme A. I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about that here coming up. So starting at the left, you have your pyruvate. The carboxyl group is going to come off, which we talked about. The NAD plus is reduced to NADH because it's once that carboxyl group comes off, it's going to want to bind, and the hydrogen is going to bind to the NAD and form NADH. So we have NADH and CO2 as our byproducts, which creates that perfect method there. We're going to get into that on the next slide, but that coenzyme is able to bind in, get us from the cytoplasm to the mitochondrial matrix. Looking over to the right, you'll see acetyl-CoA. That's going to be basically our ticket to get into citric acid cycle. But here we go. This is a little molecule diagram that I drew here. So the pyruvate is a 3-carbon molecule. Basically, it's going to go through this process. CO2 is going to pop off. The NAD is going to come in, and then the hydrogen molecule is going to bind off on that as a byproduct. That's just going to leave us with this 2-carbon molecule acetyl. So the semi-permeable membrane of the mitochondrial matrix, we need basically a ticket in. So the coenzyme A is going to be our ticket to get us through these structures, and the coenzyme A binds to the acetyl, and then we have acetyl-CoA. It's just a visual process of how that's going to go down, and then once we get there, one of the questions is asked is how is it going to reset so that it can bind again. So once it gets in there, the coenzyme A is going to break off from the Krebs cycle. Once it enters, and the acetyl is going to go in, coenzyme A is going to come back, and then you're going to continue to get that pyruvate from glycolysis to come back down through. Coenzyme A binds, and it just keeps going around and around just like that. So it feels good to actually start to put these processes together, and it makes me feel a little more comfortable with this final project that we're building up to. But that's my presentation. Thank you very much. Goodbye.